Hey guys, Jake here, and today I'm here with a very special video. Today I am here with my NPL Minors Season 5 draft analysis. In case you guys didn't hear, I actually did get accepted into NPL Minors, which is very awesome because now I am in a very competitive league with a lot of my good friends, duking it out to hopefully get promotion into NPL Majors, which is one of the most competitive leagues of all time. So yeah, that's really cool. We did draft recently, and there was a draft stream. In case you missed it, I will leave a link to the description below so you can actually see all the coaches' teams. In the description, I will also leave a link to all the other coaches' channels so you can check them out. Be sure to check them out. There's a lot of great people there. So yeah, but the draft was a points tier match, kind of like CPC was. But we had 120 points this time, which is actually a lot. So the budget was pretty high, meaning a lot of drafts are looking pretty stacked. And I'm a big fan of my draft as well. But yeah, so we got the 15th pick in the draft out of 16, which I wasn't too happy with because I kind of wanted a top pick so I could get a great mon like Celesteela, Tapu Koko, Kieran Black, a mon like that. Unfortunately, we got 15th, which is still not a bad pick though because we are pretty close to the wheel, meaning we can get 2 picks really early. So that's pretty cool. Also for the Z-Mon rule, we actually have 25 points to spend on Z-Mons, and the points for that each Mon cost is equal to the amount of points they actually cost when drafting. For example, Mian Chao is like 11 points, so if I wanted to make Mian Chao a Z-Mon, it would cost 11 points, meaning I would have 14 points left on my Z budget. So yeah, let's get into my first pick. With my first pick, I decided to pick up Jirachi, and I pick up Jirachi a lot in leagues of late because it's just a mon I love using. It's extremely versatile. It's a steel type, meaning you can start your core off right away. It supports the team great. It's one of the best wish patchers in the game. With 100 stats across the board, meaning it can be physically defensive or especially defensive. It can be a setup threat with Calm Mind. It can obviously flinch people a lot with Scarf, but that's not the reason why I drafted it. I drafted it because it is a very great utility with Wish Pass, Stealth Rocks. It can also be a threat in its own with Calm Mind. People just have trouble dealing with this thing. Great typing as well. Steel Psychic is great. I've got a great Steel type to start off my draft, which I always love. I always want a solid Steel type in every draft. But yeah, this Jirachi is great to start off my draft because I really wanted to get a more balanced build, and I wanted some Wish Pass this draft because I do every draft, and because this league is very serious for me, I will be taking my time a lot. I will be putting a lot of time into building. I want to make sure I have a draft I'm comfortable with, and Wish Pass is something I'm most certainly comfortable with. So yeah, I really wanted to get a fat balanced team with a lot of wish support, and Jirachi is a great mon to start that off with. So yeah, after Jirachi, I decided to pick up another mon I absolutely adore, and that mon is Garchomp. So this was basically just the beginning of the second round because I was 15th pick and as close to the wheel. I decided to get Garchomp, and Garchomp is a great fit with Jirachi. They cover each other's weaknesses pretty well. Jirachi resisting the Ice, Fairy, and Dragon that threaten Garchomp, and Garchomp can take the fire hits that Jirachi does not like dealing with. So that's very nice. I have 2 Stealth Rockers right off the bat, meaning my rocks are honestly pretty much good to go. I should probably pick up another rocker along the way, but I've got one of the best Stealth Rockers in the game in Garchomp, which is great. So yeah, team is looking pretty good so far. Garchomp, I just love Garchomp because with SD plus C move, it is one of the best breakers in the whole game, undisputedly. There's nothing that can take a +2 Z move from a Garchomp in the game because it has coverage for pretty much everything. Even stuff that resists Steel Stab, you can run stuff like Crunch, Aqua Tail. It has great coverage. It also has Z Fire Fang. Absolutely great mon. I also can use Z Sandstorm in this league, meaning when I use Z Sandstorm I get +1 speed, which is absolutely broken. With Z Sandstorm plus Swords Dance and attacks, this thing can be an absolute menace. Tank Chomp is also so very nice when it has wish support from Jirachi. So if I ever need to run a defensive Garchomp with like Rocky Helmet, I can always get that wish support from Jirachi and give it some nice recovery so it doesn't get worn down too much. So yeah, my speed tiers are kind of so far because we have 328 and then 333. But I still really like this team so far. We've got a lot of roles filled. We got 2 parts of the Fairy Dragon Steel Core. We've got great rockers. We got wish support. Team's looking very nice so far. And unfortunately for the next pick, we actually had to wait quite a while. We had to wait about 30 or so picks because the whole second round happened, and then most of the third round. But I decided to get another mon I love. This mon is kind of a meme for people that know me, just because of how much I like it. But I decided to pick up Shaymin. Now, I really wanted to use Shaymin in this team, basically because Shaymin is just a great mon to have on any balanced teams. It's probably the best 1,000 arrows resist in the game, making it able to deal with stuff like Zygarde very well, because it can resist 1,000 arrows and take stuff like Outrages pretty well. But I didn't draft it because of Zygarde. I just wanted a really solid grass type before the grass type started going, because something I've noticed in drafts of late is that the good grass types start to go in rounds 4 to 5, and I knew Shaymin is one of the most popular grass types, so I thought it might go soon. So I wanted to get it now. And yeah, I love Shaymin. It's a mythical Pokemon, just like Jirachi, meaning it has the 100 stats across the board. Very versatile EV-wise. Defensive is great. It just eats so many hits, both on the physical side and special side. Gives me grass type, which gives me great water resist. Gives me great, just what grass types do. They deal with ground types, deal with water types. Got Leech Seed, and just a nice sponge that I like. Also, the offensive set is very threatening. Life Orb with Seed Flare. Seed Flare is one of the best moves in the game because it has the 40% chance to lower the SpDef by 2. So yeah, very excited to use Shaymin. Defensive and offensively, it's a great mon. So yeah, very excited to use Shaymin. And then next up, I want to complete my Fairy Dragon Steel Core and get up Tokhiss. And I know what you guys are thinking. I'm a terrible person. I got the Flinch Core, Jirachi plus Tokhiss, but I actually just love this core in general more than just flinches, because now I have hazard control. I have a ground immunity. I have Heal Bell. I really want to use Tokhiss because it just has such good synergy with Jirachi. It's a fantastic core. So it's a good core for a reason other than just being a flinch core. Tokhiss is great synergy with Jirachi. They cover their weaknesses well. Jirachi takes the rock and ice hits that threaten Tokhiss. But yeah, I wanted to pick Tokhiss because I want to complete my Fairy Dragon Steel Core. I now have very good hazard control. Tokhiss is a fantastic defogger. And I also will pick up another defogger later on in the draft that will make Tokhiss not completely have to run defog every week, which is very important in my opinion, because Tokhiss is best when it's not forced into a defog role in my opinion. But yeah, Tokhiss is great. It's just so versatile. Its move pool is fantastic. It has great coverage, access to Nasty Plot, can be a great stall breaker. It's got Heal Bell, and it's got Fire Blast for the steel types, reliable recovery, and Roost. A lot of my team has reliable recovery so far, except for Garchomp, but as I said, that does like Wish Pass from Jirachi. But yeah, this is a great stall breaker. It's a great check to a lot of mons. It's one of the best fairy types in the game in my opinion, and it is also very cheap at 12 points in my opinion. I think that's a huge steal. So yeah, in my next pick, I decided I decided fire types are really looking scary through my draft, as well as ghost types. So I decided to pick up Snorlax. Now Snorlax is a great mon. It was only 11 points, and I also think that's a huge steal because Snorlax is so fat. It is so bulky, and it got a lot better this gen too because it now has the infamous Recycle Plus Figgy Berry combo, which means you can just go for recycle whenever you're at 50% because of gluttony, and just gain a lot of health back. It's basically like a recover because you're getting 50% from the berry. But yeah, this mon is great. With Curse, Curse Snorlax is a threat to almost any team, just because it's so bulky after Curses, because it already has that ridiculous special bulk with its tremendous HP and special defense, and the Curses make up for its kind of mediocre defenses. But yeah, Curse Snorlax is a threat to most teams. Also, just a great special wall that I can rely on most weeks to help me deal with stuff. So yeah, very excited to use Snorlax. First time in a while I have used Snorlax, but it is definitely one of my favorite mons on this draft. So yeah, next up I decided I really was lacking some speed, and I kind of wanted something to I definitely wanted a more special attacker, so I decided to pick up Soulwell. Now Soulwell is a very nice mon. It was also pretty cheap at 11 points in my opinion. And yeah, Soulwell is great. It helps me deal with bulky grasses that my team is kind of struggling with so far. Gives me grounded poison. So which is nice because toxic spikes were kind of annoying to my team so far, poisoning stuff like Shaymin and Garchomp and Snorlax. But yeah, Soulwell is great. It's got great, I think it's 117 speed, allowing it to outspeed base 115s. Poison plus fire is a pretty good offensive typing. Not much switches into a Life Orb Soulwell in all honesty, and the stuff that does switch in, you can kind of hinder with corrosion toxic, meaning it can toxic, such as like, for example, Toxapex, you can just toxic it with Soulwell, which is just absolutely great, and it gives me the speed tier that I really wanted, and also it is a very scary sleeper with nasty plot. It really helps beat the bulky grasses that my Mega Pokemon, that I haven't picked yet, really likes. So yeah, I'm very excited to use Soulwell. I've always been a big fan of it. I just love the Pokemon in general. I love its design, and now I get to use it in NPL minors, which is awesome. But yeah, next up, I just decided to pick up. I decided I need a bulky water, and I also wanted some spikes because my team could really use some spikes. Stuff like Soulwell is much better when it has spike support, so I decided to pick up a mon that was very underpriced in my opinion, and that is Qwilfish. So Qwilfish is a great mon in my opinion. It was only 5 points, which I think is an absolute steal because it has pretty decent HP and bulk, physical bulk plus intimidate, meaning it can check physical attackers pretty well, and it gives me access to spikes and toxic spikes, which is absolutely tremendous because my team really could have used the extra hazards because it is more of a balanced build. But yeah, this mon's great. It can really really is great support with the hazards, and also has access to other pretty good utility moves such as Taunt, Destiny Bond, and overall just a pretty nice glue to a lot of teams when you're struggling to check physical attackers. And it also has a pretty nice set in Rain Dance, offensive Rain Dance, because it does get access to Swift Swim, and this set has actually been rising a bit in popularity in OU, and it could definitely be a set I could bring this season. Offensive Qwilfish with Swift Swim. So yeah, definitely excited to use Qwilfish. This is my first time I've ever used Qwilfish, which is pretty cool. I've always thought it was a mon that I thought was pretty good, but I would always pass it up for other bulky waters. But I thought this was a good time. It is a second poison type. Which might be questionable, but I have poison weaknesses covered pretty well in my opinion. I have two very good ground resistance, Shaymin and Tokhiss, and then I also have great psychic resist in Jirachi, and then I have an even better one that I will be grabbing up later. So yeah, next up, I decided to pick up a mon I've been just a huge fan of for forever, and this mon is Rotom. Rotom Spook, as my good pal Narth Vader likes to call it. And yeah, Rotom is a fantastic mon. It was probably 7 points, which kind of surprised me when I first saw it. But I do definitely think it's worth 7 points. It was just odd because usually you see Rotom very cheap, but the NPL prices are very good, and they realized that this needs to be moved up, so they did it. Rotom is a very solid mon in my opinion. It has 3 immunities: fighting, normal, and ground, which is great. Access to levitate. This mon is basically the definition of an annoyer. This mon annoys so many teams because it has pretty annoying typing, meaning it wells a lot of stuff, and it just will status your team, Volt Switch on out, get momentum. It will Will-O-Wisp, Hex, Thunder Wave, Pain Split. Pain Split is very nice with its low HP. It is very annoying to most teams. Its typing allows it to deal with a lot of stuff you wouldn't really expect it to, and it got a huge buff in Ultra Sun and Moon. It actually got defogged because of the move trigger, which is great. Now I have another defogger, and Rotom is a great defogger in my opinion because it doesn't really have the 4 moveset syndrome a lot of the weeks, so it can usually afford to run defog a lot of the time. So yeah, that's great. Really taking a lot of the pressure off the Tokhiss to defog in a lot of my games. So yeah, that's really nice. But yeah, my team really likes the momentum. My team is honestly kind of lacking momentum. My only momentum before it was U-turn Jirachi, but yeah, nice some Volt Switch momentum, which is very nice because any team likes some Volt Switch momentum. Gives me an electric type, gives me a spin blocker for Qwilfish's hazards. So yeah, very nice pick with Rotom. And then for my next pick, kind of questionable in hindsight, but I wanted a fighting type, and I also kind of wanted another physical breaker to help Chomp put in more work. So I decided to pick up another Gen 7 mon in Passimian. Now Passimian was pretty cheap in 5 points in my opinion. It has actually very underrated bulk. I think it's like 100 HP and 90 physical defense, which is great, meaning you can take a lot of hits from strong physical attackers and fire back pretty hard. It's got a great attack stat and pretty good coverage with stuff like it's got close combat, Gunk Shot, Rock Slide, and other stuff that I can't think of off the top of my head. But it's just got a pretty good physical move pool. It can be a pretty good physical breaker, very good physical bulk, and yeah, gets U-turn as well, so more momentum. Kind of my most questionable pick from the draft, but I think it's a fun mon that I can definitely see myself bringing a few times, and teams will definitely have to prep for it. If they don't, they will definitely be very weak to this mon. It also gets knockoff. I think it got that in Ultra Sun and Moon, which is great, meaning stuff like bulky psychics and ghosts aren't exactly checks, or counters rather. So yeah, pretty nice mon at 5 points. And for my next mon, I kind of wanted to there were 2 things I wanted to do. I wanted to fix my speed tiers from 100 to like the 80-ish range, and I also wanted a special wall breaker, and as well as just a special setup sweeper with Calm Mind as well. So I decided to pick up Meloetta. Now Meloetta is a mon I've actually never used for full season, but I think it is a very nice mon. Stuff like Specs Meloetta is very hard to deal with. So it's very hard to deal with because not a lot of things resists. Well, Steel types can resist a slow stab, but they also have to fear stuff like Focus Blast, and this thing is incredibly bulky on the special side, which is great. It can deal with a lot of special hits and fire back pretty hard. This thing also sets up on so many walls with sub plus Calm Mind, which is just great. And it has pretty good coverage as well. I could also use the Meloetta Pirouette form if I want, which is Relic Song, and then this thing has like 122 speed or something with normal plus fighting, which is absolutely great. Great offensive typing, and also has knockoff. So yeah, Meloetta Pirouette is also something. It's also something people definitely need to watch out for in prep. So Meloetta is a very fun mon that I wanted. Gives me special wall breaker, which is much needed. Can take special hits very nicely as well. I don't think having 2 normal types with Snorlax and Meloetta is really a problem, but because I don't share weakness, because Meloetta is part psychic. But yeah, next up, you might see I have 14 points, and I do want a pretty decent Mega And so for my next pick, I was looking around in the 1-point tier because my Mega is actually 13 points, and in case you didn't know, we get anywhere from 1 to 12 mons, and I was gonna go for 12 mons for this, so I need a 1-point mon here. I picked my 1-point mon before my Mega because the only person that could snipe me was Carney Hobo, and he had already picked his Mega, so I knew he could snipe me, but of my Mega. So so I was looking around in the 1-point mons, and I actually looked at all the teams, so I didn't just make a blind pick and then see it never matched up. And I saw mon in 1-points that actually matched up between a lot of the teams in the league pretty damn nicely, and that mon is actually Pawniard. And Pawniard is a mon you probably haven't seen in drafts a lot, but it's a pretty decent mon in my opinion. Its speed is okay, it's 60, meaning you can outspeed a lot of walls with investment. Its attack is pretty solid, I believe it's 80, and it has very good dual stab with knockoff plus Iron Head, same as Pisharp obviously, and access to Sucker Punch and Sword Stance, meaning it can be a pretty dangerous sweeper if teams aren't prepared. Dark is a very spammable offensive typing, meaning Sucker Punch can definitely sweep a lot of teams. And I know you're not going to get the most spectacular mon out of 1-points, but I thought this mon could definitely do some work in some games. And because of the Z rule, I also actually made this mon my Z mon, or a Z mon. I forgot to mention that I made Garchomp and Rotom Z mons as well, but yeah, my 3 Z mons are Garchomp, Rotom, and Pawniard, because that equals to 23 points. Meaning that was all I could afford, but yeah, I think this mon with Z-axis could definitely be pretty hard. Something like SD, Black Lily Clips, or Corkscrew Crash could be pretty threatening to a lot of teams. Also gets Stealth Rocks and Taunt, definitely not a terrible mon at 1 point. And for my last pick, it was time for me to get my Mega. This Mega is a mon I've definitely never used before, and a mon I was definitely very interested in trying. I've seen some good players use it in the past. My good pals Owen and Chiangi77 have used this mon to tremendous success in the past, and this mon is Mega Gyarados. So Mega Gyarados is a pretty interesting mon, but I feel like it's quietly been rising to popularity of late. The one unfortunate thing is that we do have to Mega turn 1 in this league, meaning I can't play mind games with with what turn I have to Mega Evolve and getting and retaining the Water Flying typing, but regardless, I still think this is a very solid mon, with Water Dark typing and access to Dragon Dance. This mon is very hard to check when it's at +1. I do have a lot of stuff on my team to really beat its checks. I have stuff like Soulwell that just demolish the bulky grasses that check it. I have stuff like Garchomp to just break through the physical walls early game, and then I can bring in my Gyarados late game to sweep. Yeah, and I also have Wish Pass with Jirachi to help me keep this thing healthy if need be. I have Qwilfish, so it doesn't have all the pressure to make it so it doesn't have all the pressure as my bulky water to make it check fire types. So yeah, I think I built around Gyarados pretty well in this draft, and I'm very excited to use Mega Gyarados. It's definitely not in my comfort zone because I've never used it, but I figured I'd give it a try. I'm using a lot of puns I've never really used before in this draft, so it will definitely be interesting. But yeah, here's my National Pokeball League Minors Season 5 drafts. Jirachi, Garchomp, Shaymin, Tokhiss, Snorlax, Soulwell, Qwilfish, Rotom, Passimian, Meloetta, Pawniard, and Mega Gyarados. And as I mentioned earlier, my Z-mons are Z Garchomp, Z Rotom, and Z Pawniard. So very excited to use this draft. I like it so much, and definitely one thing I have to say is 100% check out the links in the description. Check out the links of the National Pokeball League channel. You will see majors and you'll see the minors and majors info there. And you will also check out the links of all the other coaches in the description. So yeah, without any further ado, I will end off this video. Week 1 will be coming this Thursday, which is hype, so definitely keep a lookout for that. But yeah, see you guys next time. Peace.